Hello students, this is Abdelkader Ouda. Welcome again to ES 1036 video series. In this video, I'll be discussing passing object to method in Java. Now we have written several Java programs up to this point. And in each Java program we have written, you define some methods that accept one or more primitive variable as arguments. In this video, I will show you that an object can also be sent to a method as an argument, and the method itself can return object variable. Let's get started. Let us look at this inventory item class. The inventory item class holds simple data about the item we have in our stock. The item description is stored in the field description that is defined as a string. And the number of items we have on hand is stored on the field units that is defined as int. The inventory item class uses three constructors. The first constructor with no args that initialize the field description with empty string and the field unit by 0. The second constructor accepts one argument of type string d that is used to initialize the field description and also initialize the unit by 0. The third constructor accepts two arguments, d that is used to initialize the description field and u to initialize the field units. We have two setters and two getters in this class. The first one to set the value for description field, the second set to initialize the value for units field, and the first get method to return the description fields, the second method to return the value of units. In this screen, we have a program to demonstrate how a program passes an object as an argument. In the main method here, I defined an item as class type, and the type of this item inventory item. And the constructor I'm using here, the third constructor, I'm sending a range as a string for the first parameter and 20 as an integer for the second parameter. Now I have defined here an object called item of type inventory item. In this line, I call the method display item that is defined here as a static method and accepts one argument of type inventory item. This is not primitive type, this is class type. Inventory item is used here to define the argument of the method display item, and the variable name is I. This line here called the method display item and pass this object as an argument. It's actually the reference of this object that is passed to this variable I. What does it mean? Let us look at this diagram. I will show you here how an object can be passed as an argument. We have here in this line, we call the method display item and we pass the object item. Remember, we defined item as reference variable in the main program. That means when we pass the item, we pass the value of this item. We actually pass the value of the item to the method as an argument. What is the value of this item? If you remember, when we represent how object is saved in the computer memory, if this is the computer memory, we said that when we define an object like item, we allocate location in the main memory to hold the address of this object and another location to hold the data of this object like description and unit. So we said that here display item going to pass the value of the item. Now the value of the item is simply the address of the object item. So the display item here going to send the value of the item, which is the address of the object item, and pass to this method to initialize this address to the variable I. So this is here implicitly, we're going to have this assignment I equal item. That means now I holds the value of item, which is the address of the object item. Noted that here we defined I as inventory item and should be with this type because item is of type inventory item. Then in this method, since I know the address of the objects, I can access its description, I can access its units through the get description and get units. So what you need to understand from this diagram is when we send the item, we send the value of the item, and the value of the item is the address of the objects, and then we send the address here, not the object itself. So object can be passed to method as arguments. Note that Java passes all arguments by value, whether it is primitive type or class type, they send argument by value. If it is primitive type, we send the value of this variable. When it is an object is passed as an argument, the value of the reference variable is passed. The value of the reference itself is the address of the object. So we pass the address of the object instead of the object. When a method receives a reference variable as an argument, it is possible for the method to modify the content of the object referenced by a variable because it received the address. Then using the address, they can access to all public members. They can use it to modify the object itself. Note also that methods are not limited to returning the primitive data types. Method can return references to object as well. Just as with passing parameters, a copy of an object is not returned, only its address. For example, let us consider this code snippet. I have a method called getData, is returning a value of type inventory item. This is here, it's not primitive data type. This is here class type. And the method itself returns the value of type inventory item. And here in this line, I'm creating a new object of type inventory item, and I'm calling this the third constructor of this class. I'm sending the string value hammer and the integer value 15. Once we call this constructor, we create an object of type inventory and we return that object. The returns here, it doesn't return the object itself, but it returns the address of these objects. In this screen, I'm going to show you how a method can return an object. So let us consider this statement here. I have item equal getData. That means we need to call the method getData, and then once the method returns the value, this value need to be assigned to the variable item. And again, item is an object of type inventory item. Get is a method that, as we described in the previous slides, creates an object of type inventory item with these two data, hammer as description and 15 for the units. Once the method execute this line, this object is created in the computer memory. Again, let us assume this is our computer memory. This line simply going to create an location in the computer memory to hold the address of the objects, and the object itself will be saved in another location to hold these two data. This return method will not return this object. It will return the address of the objects. So the address of the object will be assigned to the item variable or the object item. So the item here store the address of this object. Then item can be used in order to access all the public member of this object. So later on, I can, after this line, after this statement, I can write something like this: item dot get units. So after this line, then item has the value, which is the address of this object. Using the address of the object, I can call get units that's defined in this object. So this method returns the address of the object instead of the object itself. So I hope that you find this video beneficial, and goodbye.